Most likely the first thing you'll want to do in writing a new program is configure the controller. You can do this by going to the Quick Access toolbar and clicking on the Controller Configuration button, or you can go to the Main Menu toolbar and click on Project and move down to select Controller Configuration. You can also simply just type in F5. Whichever method you choose, you can see will bring up the controller configuration window, which shows a diagram that looks like the controller on your robot. There's also an area for you to enter in different motors that you have connected to the different ports on your controller. Here you can see I already have entered in right motor into the motor port 2. I also have the left motor connected to motor port 3, so I'll type in left motor here. If you look over on this side, you can see an area where you can also enter in input devices. Here I have a bump sensor connected to the digital input port number 6, and I also have a limit switch connected to the digital input port number 7. Once you've configured your controller, you can click on OK to move on. However, when you configure the controller, you may have to view the online window to assure you're setting up the right ports. The easiest way to get to the online window is by going to the Quick Access toolbar and clicking on the online window. Once the online window is opened, it will still need to be enabled, and before you can do that, you need to make sure that you've connected the robot to the computer. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and click on the Enable button, and it will take a good full second for the computer to connect to the robot. And then you can see all of the data values have been entered in down in the lower portion. This works out really well for making sure that you've identified each port with the correct device that's connected to it. For example, if you look at the bump sensor in the limit switch in the digital input section, you can see that the bump switch should be connected to digital input port number 6. And if I go to the robot and I push my bump sensor, you can see that it's changing the actual input. That's good. Also, if you go to digital input port number 7, where I should have my limit switch connected, if I touch my limit switch here, you can see that it's changing the value that is being input into that port. The online window will also help you to see the range of values for devices and set proper values. For example, if you were to go up to where the motors are identified, you could select one of the motors and move the setting to the left and see which values you would achieve through the robot and how fast the motors are turning, and how fast the motors would turn and what values you would achieve by moving it in the opposite direction. This would also tell you if you have the motors connected to the right ports, because if you moved the wrong setting, you'd get nothing or no movement out of your robot, whereas if you selected the right motors, you should notice that you have the proper motor moving as you change the setting here. Once you feel that all your settings are set up correctly, go ahead and move on by clicking on the Close button.